I'm right here sleeping at this bus stop um, on Memorial Drive, and I'm gonna just show y'all my stomach because the Holy Spirit wanted me to show y'all that I'm pregnant and they abusing me in America, and I've been carrying this child for this pregnancy for 36 months. Fetus still alive, heartbeat, and they're abusing me, waiting for the baby to die for the satanic Caucasian race. One thing that I want to say is Amber Alert. My child was abducted from me in Conroe, Texas. He was 22 months old, and they threatened to rape him and molest him and murder him because I shot his father in the leg in self-defense. He's a satanic, he's a white Caucasian male. He's satanic. He is a Satanist, and his entire family are Satanists, and he was attacking me when he got out of prison in my home, and they threatened to rape my boy and make him perform homosexual acts. So they have kept my child and are online saying that they're setting the baby up to be murdered in me after 36 months of me. I got tortured in the jail, and the police were saying that they were child molesters as well, and the whole city of Conroe, Texas said that they were pedophiles and that they will retaliate against me by making my baby perform homosexual acts on them, while the rest of the country is trying to set me up to be murdered wherever I go. And I'm trapped in Atlanta, Georgia, where they are forcing me to perform sexual acts on them. After I came out here to get into a shelter, they trapped me in the city, and I was trying to put out the information that they were trying to murder me in Texas. So they dropped the charges on me after they tortured me with this baby in me, and were threatening to molest my son while they had me incarcerated on the charges in the Montgomery County Jail. So they held me as a war prisoner, abducted my child, and said that they would make him perform homosexual acts on them. And the judges at the Conroe courthouse were involved with the child abduction and the pedophilia and the covering up of them threatening to rape him. And so they never gave him back, and they have my family involved in what they're trying to perform is a blood ritual. They're trying to do a satanic witchcraft blood ritual on me and my pregnancy, and usher in pedophilia and slavery by abducting my child and saying that they would allow the white people to molest him. So now they're trying to murder me and have the entire country I guess go with pedophilia. And they had this black male walking up on me while I'm making the videos, and I have told several black males to stay away from me in Atlanta, Georgia, and that I will kill them, and that I'm letting y'all know how serious it is. I do have a knife to protect myself and the entire city of Atlanta, Georgia, the entire USA. All the black women are now trying to murder everybody over here in the United States who will not usher in the pedophilia that they are doing. They're trying to force it on us by abducting our children and giving them to high priestess, grand witches who have never given birth to children, high devil, satanic Hispanic males who have never given birth to their own children and have abducted my child and are murdering me with a baby in me so they can molest my little boy. So everybody in the country, all the celebrities, all the presidents are helping to have us murdered who want our children back, who want medical care, who want housing, who want our identification back, who want to go against the rape of small children, and who want justice for the child molestations. And they have my family joining them in the war to sit back and usher in the pedophilia and let them molest my son and their children as well, and so they could stay alive. And they have completely become corrupted in the witchcraft and are smiling, handing over their children to be molested and trying to murder me because I want my child back, and they will not fight with me. They're actually helping to set me up. My father, Andrew Jones, is helping to set me up to be murdered in Atlanta, Georgia. My sister, Larissa Jones, is setting me up to be murdered in Atlanta, Georgia. They have already joined the Satanic Church with my grandmother in Chicago, Irma Marshall. They joined the Satanic Church with my auntie, Barbara Thomas. This Satanic Church is basically the church of the Caucasian race, admitting that they are a pedophilia bloodline, that they are a rapist bloodline, that they are a satanic bloodline, and that they are taking over the United States of America, and ushering in the rape and mutilation of children, and that there will be no law to protect us. They are torturing pregnant women, and there is no law to protect us. They're making sure that the police will not protect us. They're making sure that the judges will not pass any laws to stop them from harming us. And we just got to pretty much fend for ourselves. And we're going through religious persecution, where they're saying that if we will not bow down and worship Satan and denounce Jesus Christ, I told him I will kill him. Get the fuck away from me! Get the fuck away from me! They are trying to set me up to murder me for my baby boy, for the satanic Caucasian Illuminati church that's took over the United States. And they have everybody setting us up to where, like I said, the judges will not protect us or help us, and they making you denounce Jesus Christ, the colored God, because everybody done found out the truth about God not being white. And so they had my sister, my cousin, Kiana Wiley, join the Satanic Church. They had my auntie Barbara join the Satanic Church. They had my Uncle Kerry, my Uncle Derek, my cousin Desiree, because everybody trying to survive, and they said they was going to kill all the blacks. So it's religious persecution, where we not being allowed to worship Jesus Christ or Jehovah anymore, to where they making everybody worship the white man and the white woman and Satan, who is white, and then they killing everybody who won't do it. And so they telling them to help them in the war, and that they'll let them survive, and to act like they still worshiping Jesus, but they blaspheming, and they making them fake like they worshiping Jesus, but making them bow down to the white Jesus and the white man, and set their family members up to be murdered, who do not want to allow their children to be molested. So they have my sister Shakina Jones in Houston, Texas. She joined the Satanic Church, where they basically do everything against the Holy Spirit, and they do everything wicked in the church, and the church is built up off of how much wickedness they could do, and they doing rituals to molest children in front of the Most High God, and then they making them take an oath that they're gonna go to hell with the entire country. And that they're going to torture anybody who is holy. So they completely abducted my child, and they know that I know that Joseph O'Vera said that he was going to make my child perform oral sex on him. And they all did witchcraft, and Cynthia O'Vera said that she was going to make my little boy a slave in her home and in the Conroe, Texas area, to retaliate for me shooting a white man in self-defense. That she said they would kill my baby and treat my baby in my belly like a rat. And then she said that they would murder me and I could not do anything about her making my little boy perform oral sex on them. And they had went through a judge to hide it, named Tracy Gilbert in Conroe, Texas, to hide the evidence that Austin was attacking me, and to hide the evidence that they tortured my pregnancy for 11 months in the jail, starving us and poisoning us and trying to murder us in the cell. And they went through him to try to cover up that she said she was going to molest him with racist white gangs. That went through Tracy A. Gilbert in Conroe, Texas, to cover up that she said that she was going to make him be performing oral sex acts on her and her husband, and that my child father would make him perform oral sex on him as well. And they don't want to give him back because he is too young for that. And they had him for this long, saying that they would make him suck their genitals as retaliation. And so they're trying to have me murdered everywhere in the United States because Donald Trump is involved, and he knows that they tortured my pregnancy and took my son as retaliation and threatened to molest him and rape him and mutilate him. And they are chasing me they chased me out of Texas to stop me from getting him back. And they had all the black men in Texas helping them, trying to murder me. And they threatened to rape my son. They threatened to take turns letting him give them oral sex. And they ran me out of Texas pregnant, trying to fight me and trying to set me up to be killed. And that's when I started my YouTube channel, Andrea Antoinette Jones. And then so my auntie Barbara had got on, Barbara Thomas, who is in the Satanic Church. She lured me to Little Rock, Arkansas, out of Texas, Houston, Texas, because I was telling the truth about why they was trying to murder me in America. Yeah, it was over a shooting, but also because you got to choose if you're going to worship Jehovah or if you're going to worship Satan with the white people out here, or they gonna try to murder you. And so my auntie had hurried up and contacted me and told me that she knew that I was pregnant, and that she knew that my white child father, Austin John Metter, was abusing me. And she told me that she said come down here to Arkansas, like she would help me get refuge and then help me do whatever I needed to do to go out there and get my son, because I was trying to protect the baby in me. Otherwise I would have went out there to Cynthia's house and I would have just let them kill me, because as a mother you cannot allow these whites to take your son and put their genitals in your baby's mouth and then be going through a courtroom that's helping them lie about retaliating and making your little baby perform oral sex. And they talking about that's their heritage, that's their history. They done always rape people, children, as retaliation. They done always stole people, children, and enslaved people, children, and they covering it up and making it seem like, oh, she is a bad mother, she is a prostitute, he is well taken care of. Look, we got pictures of him, and my father, Andrew Jones, is involved with trying to molest him as well. And that's his own so-called grandfather, but he done joined the Satanic Church and would not bar me out, knowing that the whites were saying that they was molesting my son and that they was torturing me pregnant. And so they had my sister Larissa Jones join Satan. They had my sister Shakina join Satan. They had my grandmother Irma Marshall join Satan. They had my cousin Kiana Wiley join Satan. And Cynthia was with Satan. And Austin was with Satan. And the Conroe Police Department was with Satan. The Montgomery County Jail was with Satan. And they were they're drug dealers. They got drug dealers. He's on meth and all this stuff out there, and they with Satan, and they all did a witchcraft ritual on me when the whites were saying that we gonna rape your little boy because you shot a white man. And my family was right there doing the witchcraft ritual with them, talking about they was worshiping the whites now, and they was worshiping Satan, and they was going to hell, and Jehovah couldn't save me, and that they was gonna kill my baby in my belly in the jail. And so they let me out of the jail and ran me from Texas. And my auntie had, when I got there to her home in Little Rock, Arkansas, she had a plan to try to stop me from putting out any more evidence and just set me up to be murdered because of my family's involvement. So my auntie Barbara was not a part of the ritual when they did the ritual on me in Texas, but her daughter Kiana Wiley was, and her mother Irma Marshall was, and my sister Larissa Jones was, and my sister Shakina Jones was, and they was doing very powerful witchcraft with the whites as if they were doing this for a very long time. And my grandmother was doing it, my father Andrew Jones, but my auntie had lured me to to Arkansas, and when I went down there to Arkansas with her, she tried to set me up to be murdered out of her home in Little Rock, Arkansas, and told about my pregnancy. She was trying to stop me from showing my stomach online, and she was trying to stop me from putting out pictures of me and my son because they have done an operation, and they're doing the operation to keep him away from me long enough to make it look like they can keep him and make it look like I've been on the streets so bad on drugs that they don't have to return my child. And they know that he's old enough to talk and tell me. And I had a vision last night of God saying that somebody's seed was enslaved for 400 years, and then showing me my hair texture, and then saying that they took my son as a slave and that I needed to get up. And like how I am right now, he woke me up this same time at 6:22. He woke me up this same time yesterday morning and said they done took your son as a slave, and there's nothing that I can do other than put out the information about what they are doing, because the whole city of Atlanta have joined Satan and the satanic Caucasian race in the satanic church, and are trying to help to murder me and usher in the pedophilia law to where they can molest and rape children and get away with it, and the blacks will not say anything, or none of the other ethnicities will help them from taking children as sex slaves and lying about it. And so they know I'm telling the truth, so they setting me up outside to be murdered and having me pregnant, sleeping at bus stops. So after my auntie, they trying to make noise over there in they establishments and stuff to try to stop me from telling y'all what's going on. And so they had lured me from Arkansas because she tried to set me up to be murdered for putting out pictures of me and my son, for telling how they was abusing me in Texas, because they abused me all in the jail, and then they let me out abusing me to the time that I fled Texas. So I never was this drug addicted prostitute on the street that could not get my son. That's just what the whites and the blacks in Texas came up with to abuse her, to murder her, and say, because they knew I was coming for my son right away after I got out the jail, because they had threatened to molest him. So I was trying to get him from them, and I was trying to protect the baby in me, because I would have just went out there, but I was scared because I knew they was going to try to kill me. And I was like, okay, well, if I tell enough people in the United States what they doing and show the evidence around the world, then people will be like, no, you got to go get that girl baby from them, and you got to get her son back. But I was wrong, because I put the information out all over YouTube in Texas, and then the whole country, United States country, saw it, and they decided that we need to cover this up, and we need to try to set Andrea and that baby up to be murdered instead of helping her. And so my aunt had me come to Little Rock, Arkansas, and she started trying to stop me from putting out evidence about my pregnancy in her house, and the baby was still alive. And then she started trying to stop me from putting out evidence about me and my son, trying to help the child molesters keep him. And then she tried to set me up to be murdered by white devils outside of her home. And I called my grandmother Irma Marshall, and she set me up out here in Atlanta, Georgia, to be murdered, because God had already told me that Andrew Jones and Larissa was setting me up to be murdered in the jail when Cynthia took my son, and they over here dropping people off around me because they all trying to be involved with the murder. So anyway, God had already told me, and I already knew because my dad and Larissa told me. They was doing witchcraft on me, trying to kill me in the jail with the whites. for protecting myself, saying that they don't go with black people, that they on white people's side. They done joined the satanic white church and the racist white church, and they basically Klansmen, and they was gonna help them murder me, and I was their own family. So my grandmother was involved with the ritual, and I didn't want to call her, but her daughter had me set up trying to murder me. So I went off on my grandma like, you need to help me get up out of Arkansas because they got me set up outside and I'm pregnant. And my grandmother was trying to act like it was no big deal that I was torturing and pregnant, because she knew that they was torturing me pregnant in the damn jail when they was doing the ritual on me. And Jesus Christ had came and he spoke against my whole family, healed my wound, healed my body, because they tried to murder me before my trial and not show the evidence that I was protecting myself and my son, because he was attacking me and my son, and I'm pregnant. And so that they was like, oh, we worship white people, we gonna kill your son, the baby, and we just gonna mutilate you, and then mutilate your son. And so my God had already showed me that when you go to Atlanta, everybody in Atlanta, he showed me before I got out of the jail, God showed me, he was like, when you go to Atlanta, Andrew gonna try to set you up to be killed. Larissa is gonna be affiliated with your sister Shakina. He said Shakina gonna try to set you up to be killed, and have you looking bad on the streets. He was like, he showed me everybody in my family would pretty much try to set me up to be murdered, and all the black people would try to set me up to be murdered. He showed me everybody, that my baby daddy and his mother were trying to set me up to be murdered, that his father Joseph was trying to set me up to be murdered. He showed me everybody. The Conroe police trying to set me up to be murdered. He showed me Donald Trump after I got out trying to set me up to be murdered. And then I had went down to Atlanta. I got on the Greyhound and they was following me, trying to set me up to be killed off of the Greyhound. And I made it to Atlanta, Georgia, but I told my grandmother that I would not go with Andrew Jones or Larissa, because God had already told me that they was going to try to set me up to be killed out here in Atlanta, Georgia, because they was worshiping white people. And then he had showed me that so they're trying to make all this noise over there by the City Trends and the Taco Bell, and they doing noise distractions every time I'm making videos, because I'm telling the truth. So I told my grandmother, because I had visions of my sisters and them trying to set me up, and they was doing the ritual, so they done dropped somebody off over there to listen. So you can't really see them, but they right there. That black, they dropped them off because they trying to set me up to be killed, to molest my child, and get away with it, and kill a baby in me and get away with it. And so they got them set up everywhere, and they got me smoking while pregnant, because I can't stop people from putting genitals in my little boy's mouth, and they know that I will kill them. If I saw somebody putting their genitals in my mouth, and they laughing, talking about ain't nothing I can do about it because the whole country is racist, and they all gonna just torture us like that because a white convicted felon got shot for abusing a pregnant woman and a child, and now they trying to cover it up. And I'm like, nah, y'all did that. Y'all over here trying to murder me. Y'all over here saying you gonna do it. So you gonna let the rest of the world know. Everybody gonna know what y'all did and what y'all doing out here. And if it's anybody that's gonna help me fight for the honor of my son's virginity and his purity and his honor, he is a child, then I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to fight pregnant, and I'm willing to be killed. Because he is a child and he was a virgin, and his honor is on the line, because you're not going to stick penises in his mouth, because I protected him and I had to shoot a gun. And so the black people like, oh yeah, they can take my son's honor and then cover it up and make it seem like Cynthia dressing him up and taking him to school, and he got and have pictures of him at the park, but you molesting him. You said you molesting him. You said your whole family is molesting him as retaliation, and I don't want to hear no bullshit. Give him back. Child abduction, Amber Alert, Cynthia O'Vera, child pedophile and rapist, abducted my child with a pedophile judge. Amber Alert, Amber Alert, Amber Alert. They trying to murder his pregnant mother in Atlanta, Georgia. Amber Alert, Amber Alert. You abducted my child. And that's all that I have been talking about on my channels. But let me go back to Andrew setting me up and Larissa setting me up to be murdered out here in Atlanta, because they in Atlanta, Georgia. God had already told me they was going to try to kill me, and they was there doing the witchcraft ritual with Cynthia and the Conroe police when they was trying to murder me, because my family could have came forth with the evidence, which is why Barbara did not want me showing the pictures of me and my son, because my family could have came forward with the pictures of my son and not had let them keep him this long to where they could have molested him or hurt him. They could have just came forward and been like, hey, these is pictures of my sister with her son, and she took good care of that baby, and she was protecting herself. She was breastfeeding, and she's pregnant, and y'all need to let her go. We bonding her out, and we gonna get her a lawyer, and we coming to get the boy from y'all. But they was being wicked and were like, you about to be killed. They gonna rape your baby. Doing witchcraft ritual to kill me, and Jesus Christ stopped them. So now I know who all my enemies are, and I know my family that are my enemies, and they don't want people to know the truth that they was gonna do a witchcraft ritual and let these white people kill and rape my son and kill my baby and me and get away with it. So they trying to set me up to be murdered. And so when I came here to Atlanta, I had they started setting me up to be killed out of abandoned houses. The first night that I got out here, they had black males saying they would help me and bringing me into apartments that they said people allowed them to stay in, and they was empty, and they were trying to set me up to be arrested and killed by Atlanta police out of the abandoned apartments. And Atlanta police was chasing me around trying to murder me and the baby. And I already knew that the police was child molesters and pedophiles and rapists, because the white ones being like that in Conroe, threatening to stick their penises in my little boy's mouth as retaliation for the shooting. So they are animals. They don't have law. So you're supposed to take me to a trial and find me guilty and just send me to prison or whatever, but they decided to do pedophilia war tactics to take my son as retaliation and threaten to molest him, and then lie about the evidence and torture my pregnancy and be devils. And God had to let me know that's Satan bloodline, and that's why they wicked like that, to threaten to molest a child and then try to hurt your baby in your womb, and then do witchcraft on you, telling you they gonna be licking on your little boy bottom and molesting him and sticking penises in his mouth. And he said that he was not white and that he was gonna murk them and send them to hell. But they talking about until God come, they don't care. They gonna do whatever they want to do. They gonna be racist. They gonna molest kids. They gonna abduct people, children. They gonna help each other get away with it. They gonna set the mothers up to be killed until they go to hell. And she's talking about she knows she going to hell. The woman that abducted my child talking about she already done given her soul to Satan already, and she knows she going to hell. And so she had my whole family going with her, trying to set me up to be murdered. And they supposedly gonna have some sort of status and fame in America, where the United States government is offering Cynthia Olvera a lot of fame as a white woman for setting me up to be killed pregnant with her son baby, and was my baby, but I'm pregnant by her Caucasian adopted son. She's white too. And by setting my little boy up to be molested by homosexuals, and then setting it up to abduct him from me, because she know that her son was abusing me. She know that I'm pregnant. She know that I was tortured. She know I'm protecting myself. She know that they should give me back my little boy. And so they got them staging for me to be out of shelters. So I ended up my family, they offered Cynthia a grand fame in the country to where she could be courtside at football games, the highly televised football games, basketball games, and then they offered my little sister Shakina, who was out there in Texas, that knew that I was a single mother being attacked with my child. They offered her high priestess fame to where she could even marry my child father, get pregnant by him. They could have a harem where he can get several different women pregnant at one time, even women from my family, and set me up to be killed. And then this was when they were saying they was going to be molesting my child, and she said that she would do a high priestess performance to make my little sister, one of the most famous black women in the United States, and rich. And then that she would make my older sister a high priestess as well, to where she would be rich and famous in America. And that my family, Vanessa, my mother's girlfriend that knew that I was taking care of my son, he was abusing me and just got out of prison, make her very famous, to where she could have the richest garments, to where she could have fur and wigs that cost a lot of money. And she's a butch, but showing me that she could have jewelry and anything that she wanted, rich, to not come forward with the information about me being innocent and Austin abusing me and them abducting my child, the Illuminati. And then they had it to where my father would have affiliations with a lot of people and be very powerful and could pretty much have sex with anybody he wanted, including children. And then they had it to where my grandmother will also be very well taken care of as well, Irma Marshall. And then to where the rest of my family could be famous and get wealth. And so I got to the shelter out here. Excuse me. I came and got